Welcome back. It's still Hard Facts, 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Oracle Chinedu here. Our conversation for this hour is an important one. Well, it's always important because it affects us directly or indirectly. The Chief Judge of Rivers State, Justice Simeon Chibuzo Amadi, plans to visit the Port Harcourt Maximum Security Custodial Center for jail delivery exercise. A statement by the Chief Registrar of Rivers State High Court, David Ihua Madueyi, said the exercise scheduled for July 17, 2025 is in line with the criminal justice law. The statement said the Chief Judge also approved the deployment of some magistrates to sit at the Degema and Ahoda custodial centers today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, the 9th of July, for the purpose of decongestion of these centers. In October 2024, the then Rivers State Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Dagogo Iboroma, revealed that more than 20,000 inmates are awaiting trial at the Port Harcourt Correctional Center. Well, this is July of 2025, and I'm certain that that number has gone up. So there are lots of questions connected to why we have over 20,000 inmates awaiting trial in just Rivers State. My guest is Professor Ritchard Wokocha. He's a constitutional lawyer, a professor of public law, Rivers State University of Science and Technology, and he joins us virtually. Good evening, Prof. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Sam, and good evening, Nigerians. All
right, so straight to business, sir. What has to go wrong with our system to create a pile-up of over 20,000 inmates awaiting trial?
Well, first, like every other aspect of modern society, with those facilities reasonably expected to meet our needs at the time they were built. Migration has increased the number of people in the urban centers, and even at the villages, populations have increased far beyond what they were at the time these facilities were built. So naturally, there has also been an increase in hardship, although criminals don't wait for hardship to act, because if it was just hardship that causes crime, everybody would have been involved. Everybody that is facing hardship, and that would be nearly everybody. And so those who have the tendency to go in that direction have also increased in number. And unfortunately, physical facilities, once built, unless they are modified or renovated or expanded, remain in their size. I think that's what has led to the large number. The statistics you get is that of Rivers State. Nationwide, we have over 700, statistics of last month, 7,646 people are waiting trial. So the number is large, and this will not have captured the entire number. But definitely, the fact that population has grown, urban migration has been on the increase, criminality and crime has been on the increase, with less commitment in the area of tackling crime, because you and I will agree that it is getting far worse. Criminals are almost having a field day now. So this part is responsible for congestion of the prisons.
Now, Prof, the prisons, is that the jurisdiction of the federal or state government? Because we know that they are almost always congested. Can a state government embark on the project of building prisons, or is that reserved for the federal government?
Yes, the state can build prisons. Apparently, there is root concurrence and cooperation between the federal and the state government. So facilities can be donated or built by the state for use by the Nigerian Correctional Service.
Okay.
So in terms of making available infrastructure, yes, states can participate. The same way even an individual can build and donate to help them have space to house more inmates. So is that, but the Nigerian Correctional Service is a federal agency. By cooperating with them and working in conjunction with other entities, yes, they can receive such facilities and work with it.
Yeah, I imagine that most governments will not want to embark on that project because if a government is building prisons, the perception of that government, it doesn't paint a good picture. But
understandably,
yeah,
that is on the one side. It's also expenditure that ought to be made by the federal government. So many states will not want to utilize the method that is due them in handling such matters.
Okay. Professor, looking at the constitutional basis for jail delivery exercise, how frequently should this exercise be conducted by the Chief Judge? What is the frequency of time that he's supposed to go and visit and try to? Is it 6 months, 1 year, 3 months, based on the Constitution?
Yeah, the law regulating that matter is the Administration of Criminal Justice Act of 2015. We have the Administration of Criminal Justice Law of Rivers State, that is an adaptation of the law.
Okay.
In the same 2015, all states have done that. Nearly virtually all states have done the same. So those who don't have that, the Federal Act. Section 34 of that law provides for the Chief Judge to visit the prisons or direct persons, judicial officers who visit the prisons. So the Chief Judge is once in every quarter.
Okay.
That is every month. The law uses the language of once in every 3 months.
Yeah.
He's expected to do that. That's quarterly.
Yeah.
So a total of 4 in a year, the Chief Judge or a designated judicial officer designated by him should carry out that assignment. It doesn't end with the efforts and reforms that have led to that development did not end. Further provisions in that same section provide for chief magistrate in any judicial division to designate 2 magistrates who will handle visits to police stations and other facilities where people are detained on monthly basis.
Monthly?
For purposes, yes, monthly basis. For purposes of addressing this same issue. They have the power to hold sessions there, grant bail to people who can be granted bail. In the case of the Chief Judge and his quarterly visit, he has the power to release a person who has stayed longer than he would have stayed if he was sentenced at the time he was detained.
Okay.
He also has the power to release a person on some other grounds that are stated in the law, cases where he thinks that justice of the case demands that such a person be released. He can also direct that speedy action be taken in the prosecution of such persons. These are some of the efforts that have been introduced in recent years aimed at tackling the issue of prisons congestion.
Okay. Well, we have to take a break now, Professor. After the break, we talk about the reforms necessary to ensure that this is not a recurring decimal. Please stay with us, sir.
All right.
Still hard facts, 92.3 Nigeria Info. Sam Oracle Chinedu here, the Chief Judge of Rivers State. Justice Simeon Chibuzo Amadi plans to visit the Port Harcourt Maximum Security Custodial Center for jail delivery exercise. And according to reports, there are over 20,000 inmates awaiting trial at the Port Harcourt Correctional Center. My guest is Professor Ritchard Wokocha, a constitutional lawyer and professor of public law with the Rivers State University of Science and Technology. You're welcome once again, Prof.
Thank you, Sam.
All right. So, reforms. Anyways, before we get there, does the awaiting trial period count in the sentence? Let's say somebody is supposed to be sentenced for 10 years, right? And they've been awaiting trial for maybe 5 or 6 years. When they eventually get the verdict, will the court consider the time spent waiting?
Technically, the person is only convicted when he's convicted. So his sentence is supposed to run from then. But most courts, as a matter of practice, take into consideration the length of time they have spent, especially for those who have spent more than a reasonable time of 20 years while the trial was going on. Most courts, as a matter of practice or policy, usually take that into consideration. Otherwise, technically, you are not a convicted prisoner, you are not found in prison. The time you are detained, you are only a person awaiting trial.
Okay, Professor, could alternative dispute resolution mechanisms, community service, and some other solutions, help to decluster prison? Because we know that police officers arrest people, and some of these offenses are bailable. Some does not require a person, being detained for as long as a few years. So, is it possible that there could be alternative means to ensure that people don't even get to that point?
Yes. As a matter of fact, from practical experience, you don't even need to commit a crime to find it. It just happens to be unlucky. Sometimes our system can shoot down on you and you become part of the statistics that of people who have found themselves there without the justified cost. However, there are a number of steps that can be taken. Already, efforts have been made, like I have stated, that they were find content in the 2015 law, which regulates all of that, the Additional Criminal Justice Law. What we can do is to give greater effect to it. If the magistrates go on monthly basis to the police stations, as prescribed by the law, I am sure that the number can be reduced.
Okay.
The number can be reduced. The chief judge is doing his own, or another officer designated by him, the judicial officer designated by him, every 3 months. It's making progress. But there are alternatives like alternative sentencing, where instead of a person being sentenced to prison to serve in the correctional facility, they are given alternative sentence. They can do some social work for a given period until they serve out that period, which is the period of their sentence. That's where you put them to work in society, and you also decongest the prison. So such alternatives are available, and maybe we need to increase the number of cases we apply that to, so that minor crimes, misdemeanors that are not very serious offenses can receive such sentencing. That will reduce the number of people we are sending to that facility that was due to a specific number that we have far exceeded. We can also increase activity and reduce number in detention facilities by increasing the level of involvement of the legal aid corps. Sometimes people are with trial in prison for a long time because they have nobody doing their cases. So if we leverage on the legal aid corps, which is a state-owned facility that provides assistance to those who are poor and cannot handle their own defense. If we increase activities in that area, we will gain more and reduce the number of people that will be in custody. So if our government gets committed and decides that it wants to decongest the prison, it can use what is presently available within the law, the present regime of the law for dealing with prison congestion. It can achieve more in that direction if government sees it as something to which it is committed. It can cause more results apart from implementation of those provisions, and we can decongest the prison.
Okay, now, Prof, are there usually consequences for police officers who put people in that position where they are not supposed to be, belong there? Like you said, minor offenses, and officers arrest these people. When judges go for their prison rounds, do they usually try to hold those police officers accountable?
For you to effectively do that the facts will have to be established, because that accountability is rendered for something done outside the law, for an offense committed, even if it's a misconduct or abuse of their line of duty or of their duty. So you can hardly reach that conclusion at that stage. But one who is a victim of such activity can come out and there is legal redress. If he goes to his legal representative or to his lawyers, he can take necessary action to demand compensation and apology for what he has been put through. But at the point where a magistrate to inspect facilities, he can hardly do that. What the law permits him to take steps to ensure that a person is punished according to the police service rules is where an officer denies him access to documents that he needs. Because when they go, they are supposed to be given access to all documents. They should know the number of detainees and when they came in and the reasons behind them and all that. Every other facility that they need to enable them to do thorough inspection of that facility is supposed to be provided. So the law criminalizes the withholding of any such relevant facilities from them. In that case, he can recommend disciplinary action against that police officer in accordance with the police rules.
Okay, and in the situation where maybe thanks to oversight, the chief judge does not go in a space of 3 months, or the magistrates do not go monthly, maybe they forgot, or for whatever reason, how are they held accountable?
I'm afraid it will be difficult. I think it will be difficult for us to hold them accountable. Maybe their supervisor may be able to, whoever they account to, may be able to ask questions. But other than that, I'm afraid the procedure does not leave room for us to handle that. The Judicial Service Commission will be able to raise questions. The Chief Judge will be able to raise questions over a judicial division in which the designated magistrates are not doing what they are supposed to do. So it's only those that they are answerable to take steps against they are not meeting their obligations.
Okay, finally, Professor, and this is 2 questions that I would pack into one. Is the judiciary considering, or is this already happening, the possible use of technology such as virtual court hearings, to fast-track justice delivery? Because a lot of times with adjournment of cases, we have to go and come back. But is it possible? Have we started trying to have cases virtually? That's the first question. Secondly, what are the reforms that are necessary to ensure that we tackle this issue of prison congestion?
On the first question, the judiciary is already doing that.
Okay.
We are dragged into it, compelled, cajoled, whatever language you want to use. We are compelled to adopt that when the COVID struck and became unsafe for people to gather in large numbers. So from that period, we effectively introduced remote hearing, where persons can participate and be heard for remote meetings. So wonderful. Yes, we already have online or remote hearing.
Okay.
We have that already.
Yeah.
For
the reforms,
the prison reforms, The laws as they are look good enough. It's not to say that we can't make them better. We can still make them better. For instance, we can increase the number of times that they do. You can increase consequences for the sake of detecting misconduct on the part of those who are filling the prison or detention facilities, and increase the consequences of criminal responsibility for so doing. All of that will have the effect to be that they will reduce their ability to go into the streets and catch people who have no business in their particular place. And so, if you also reduce the length of time it should take between, then more will be achieved. So, the present provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice law of Rivers State, in my opinion, are good enough. What we need is commitment. If public officers who are responsible for handling the work of judicial officers, if they do what they have to do and show that commitment, we will get better results. There will be less people in that place. But that alone will not do. We need to do something about how people are taken into that place. And in my opinion, it is to ensure that somebody pays to every citizen that is wrongfully dragged into detention when he has not done anything. So we need to look at that aspect of the law and see how we can make it fight better than it's doing at the moment, such as to cause them to stop such misconduct.
All right.
That have those great consequences on citizens.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Professor, for your time. We appreciate it. Have yourself a wonderful day, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right. It's always a pleasure sharing time and space with Professor Ritchard Wokocha. He is a legal practitioner, constitutional lawyer, professor of public law with the Rivers State University of Science and Technology. Now it's time for you and I to talk. What do you make of 20,000 inmates awaiting trial in Rivers State alone? And these were the figures as of October 2024. Now we are in July 2025. It obviously is higher than this. I'm not quite sure by what number, but I'm certain it's higher. Have you or someone you know ever been affected by delayed justice or prolonged detention? Have you ever been held behind bars awaiting trial for quite some time? And who exactly would you blame? If 20,000 inmates are waiting trial in Rivers State alone, where is the failure from? Who do you think is the most responsible? The police, the courts, or the government? 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. WhatsApp is 080-903-06416. Well, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nigeria Info PH. You can watch, listen, and engage. Good afternoon to you, Sam Wokocha. You asked a question: what makes the people in the correctional center? For me, I will boil this inadequacy as per neglect and not expediting judgment by the department concerned in dispensing adjudication. That's from Ipalibo Taylor Harry. God knows from Rumi Ibu. Hello, God knows. Good evening. Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you right now.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, you are asking about how many thousands of people in session?
20,000 in River State awaiting trial.
20,000.
Only.
You are putting only 20,000 citizens. I mean 20,000 good heads.
Yes,
probably,
that's
in prison.
Yes.
Child, this has made me to remember one of my incidents right here. And the policeman said that if I don't give him 20,000, he will make sure I rot him for 20 years in prison.
Huh.
I'm telling you, not once, not twice, they have did that to me.
What did you do?
Very good. I have ordinary quarrel with my landlady there in San Samadi. I mean ordinary quarrel. She called the police that called his name Wariboko. This man said, I will pay him 25,000. I said, for what? That if I don't give him the 25,000 naira, that he will make sure that I will rot him 20 years in prison. that I should go and ask those that are in prison. I'm telling you this, if you want his name, I will give you his correct name. He has been transferred to Zone 6. There are many inside that place that are just innocent people. I'm telling you the truth. Many. And mind you, this thing is just a show of shame. They are not going. The political prisoner they are going to release, not even the innocent ones.
Okay.
That's the truth.
Yeah, God knows.
Not the innocent one. The innocent one will rot in there for how long they want before getting released.
Okay, God knows. Thanks for sharing that experience. But can you give us the name of that officer? I was hoping you would call it.
It's a Wariboko.
Wariboko.
His name very well. Wariboko is his name.
And when did this happen? What year?
Is that?
What year? When did it happen?
This happened about 7 years ago.
Okay.
I see tell you where he has been transferred to.
Yes,
he
please.
He has been transferred to Zone 6, Calabar. That is where he's serving right now.
Okay. You really trailed him. Well, thank you, God knows, for calling and sharing that experience. It's truly sad. And you know, the thing is, just like when I was talking on the big stories, the police is guilty of so much that, unfortunately, even if people lie against the police, a lot of people are, you know, there's a high chance that people would believe. Very high chance. Dede calls from Iwofe. Hello, Dede.
I greet you, my brother.
Good evening. Go ahead.
Yes, for me, my plan to go to the both state judiciary and even correctional center. Why do I say so? Because the correctional center know the capacity of the cells or prison blocks that they have there. When the team is overloaded, they're supposed to fall back to the judiciary. And the state also depends on the cases that are waiting for trial. But in all of this, it's showing the failure of government to the people, because it is injustice that somebody who is awaiting trial has waited for more than 3 minutes, and the judiciary is not aware. Neither the state is prosecuting whoever that is under accused. So you find out that the three has something to answer the Nigerian state. What is really going on? Or are we going to now lay the blame on politicians based on their interest of issues and matters that is in court? So we really need a reform. This one is not using whom to blame that is our problem. Our problem, just like the Chief Judge Rivers said that you want to decongest the prison. Let us see how they can do a judicial reform so that they can begin to see how, if you take each place is for 100 persons, it will not be more than. When it is over, they have to do something immediately. Let there be a law that will indict them. If a prison is supposed to carry 100, it's carrying 200. Let them be answerable to it. And let there not be awaiting 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Even the one that they have judged and sentenced by hanging, government or governor refuse to sign. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. These are the issues we are having. So there should be a judicial reform that will affect even correctional center and the government of each state, not just only Rivers State. That is the problem. Reform.
Thank you.
Not the blame, whom to blame. Not our problem.
Thank you, Dede. Well, you heard my guest. He says what we have on ground is good enough. If it's implemented properly and improved upon, it will deliver the solutions we need. Ami for Ernest on WhatsApp says, I'm not holding brief for the police. When I encounter with them over the years, they have been up and doing. It's amazing that you have that experience. And I'm hoping that most people can relate. We actually are not looking forward to bashing the police. We want a police that works. But the truth is, for the most part, it doesn't work. All right. Oh my, I've lost that call. I was hoping to speak to whoever that is. Most of the inmates awaiting trial in the state are innocent of the crimes alleged to be committed, and the judicial bureaucratic bottleneck is another factor causing increase in the number of inmates. I commend the CJ for taking this bold step in decongesting our prisons while urging our magistrates who are saddled with the task to periodically carry out this assignment. Wokocha Dinaka from Olele. Wokocha, I agree with you, but I don't think it's a bold step. If, according to my guess, it's what is in the Constitution, it's just duty, it's obligation. Wala from Oyibo. Hello, Wala.
Okay, good afternoon, Oracle, once again.
Good evening.
Okay, good evening, rather. So, the issue is when we have such a number of people, that is 20,000, it means that the system process is very, very slow. It is as a result.
Oh, my. The line is breaking. Wala, can you hear me? Oh, I'm so sorry. I've got to let you go. Henry from Rumi Bekwe. Hello, Henry. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
All right. 20,000 persons in a wedding town.
Yeah, over 20,000.
Over 20,000 persons. That is terrible.
It is.
I tell you clearly, if you carry an investigation on those 20,000 or over that number in a wedding trial, most, let me say, 40% of them are just there for what they don't even know about. I had a cousin many years ago who was picked up, returning from Transamadi access by Rainbow. I looked for him for 2 days. He didn't return back to the house. I went to report it. Only to find out it was just languishing in itself. Then starts to resist the start. Before you know, they threw him into prison. Look, we have a problem in this country. What you assume of being pro bono? I don't know what is going on. The number of missing now that have increased has increased terribly. This number is at October last year, 2024. It's 2025, they have increased terribly.
True.
And then you know what happens in that kind of center? You have some of persons. There will be so much ailments, epidemic. They are not properly taken care of. They don't feed well. It's a terrible thing. When I went to release my cause, I saw the way people live there like animals. It's a terrible thing. Don't pray for anyone to go there. And we don't have a system that works at all. Sometimes when people are there, for whatever reason they go there, they let kills. They're useful. Our family just released a song from prison over the death of a guy that people, I'm sure you're aware. To sing his skills, to sing a stuff from prison, to empathize with someone who's not his life. Those people are there that exist, are still human beings. They can still reform. They can still our brothers and sisters. They can still come out to society if you have the right training apart for them to come out to life. But you need a crime and you're there, doesn't mean that your life is over. So the reform is necessary, sir. Your friend has spoke to us on the radio, talking about 20,000, and the guy said, Mr. Wadenburg, and if he doesn't he's going to languish in jail. Now, how many of them are there in jail languishing for nothing, for doing just nothing? But it's just nothing, and this is our country. All of us don't have the money to run away from the country and go out to leave. We have to make this country to work. And then people who are supposed to make it to work, it is you and I, from where we're talking right now. The response should be, easy for the state. People are dying every day, and then nobody talks about them.
All right.
It's a waste time. I hope the government is hearing about this whole thing. Thank you for the idea to bring it on radio, because it's pathetic. Until you go there, you won't know what's going on. It's a terrible situation. All of them there. It's a terrible thing to go there. You wait sometimes. You wait.
Yeah, thank you very much, Henry. Thank you. I mean, we've all seen pictures. Some people have been in that position. We know how it is. We understand. Maybe you don't get the entire picture. You don't understand the enormity or the gravity of it. But we know. Right? We've seen the police detain people for reasons that, my goodness. So there's nothing about it that is beautiful. There's no single part of the equation, the process, that is fine and smooth. None. People have been detained for I remember one story. Anyways, let me not take too much time. The conversation ends here and now, but we do need to do better. These conversations happening on radio bring about the required attention to these issues, and we're glad that the Chief Judge has decided that he will visit the prisons for, the exercise. I'm hoping that other magistrates as well can, according to the provisions of the Constitution, have their routine visits, just so we can decongest the prison. And it's important to note that prison is correctional center, which means the idea is for reformation. So let's have that in mind. Thanks for listening. Stay with us.
I discovered Gadget Repair Hub. You see, Gadget Repair